All right, it's good to see Turtle Boy back with us. Unfortunately, he took it on the chin on election day earlier this week. We were rooting for him, even though he was probably going to leave us. I mean, you can't continue to do this podcast if you become a full-time school committee member. Didn't happen. Maybe next time. As I pointed out the other day, Turtle Boy, lots of the big stars in media started, or I don't say started, early in their careers, lost in political elections. As you know, Dan Bongino could be the biggest star, multimedia star in the country right now, taking over for Rush Limbaugh, starting a new show on Fox. He lost his election. I think he lost big. Jesse Kelly, your hero, lost a couple times, got smoked. Would you say you got smoked? What was it?
I would say I got smoked. It was like about 700 to about 1,100.
Yeah, so you got 700 votes?
I got 717 votes.
717 votes.
Yeah.
You know what? At least you tried. As Randall P. McMurphy says, you tried. God damn it! At least you did that.
Well, at least you know you can sell 700 people a Turtle Boy sweatshirt. I mean, they got to be turtle riders if
That's
they're
true.
right.
That's true. And I'm sure they love you, but they're glad that you're back to full-time blogging, because it was kind of on the heels of the, if I say so myself, your best week ever last week. The best week ever for Turtle Boy, because you you blew the Michaela Miller story wide open. You had the pictures of Marty Meehan, that liar, that hypocrite. I mean, you really were making news. And then in the middle of it all, you ran for school committee in Holden and lost. But it was a learning experience. And are you going to do it again? Is this the start?
I'm definitely doing it again. I'm going to do it every year. I don't care. I mean, it's small town politics. I mean, who cares? It's not like you have to raise a lot of money or anything. But right. I tell you what, one thing I learned from this, Jerry, is that
it's that attitude right there. You got to give it your 110%.
I am. No, next time, because I don't like losing. And that's the thing. And the one thing I learned from this is that the Democratic Party, they don't take days off. They don't give up small seats. Every single selectman seat and school committee seat in every town in Massachusetts, they have an eye on that and they want it. They're unwilling to relinquish any sort of power. They had a 34-6 advantage in the state Senate, and they said, that's not enough. And they went and got 3 more, and now it's 37-3. And that's how you fight, because where does the brainwashing start, Jerry? It starts in the schools, right? They're not giving up public schools.
and now we're seeing it more than ever, the indoctrination, and I'm sure that'll be in Holden, because you lost. They'll be doing the critical race theory and teaching kids to hate their country. That's what they do in public schools now. If they go to school at all, they teach them to hate their country. It's too bad. I would have liked to have seen you in politics, because I know you would have ruffled feathers, but you're absolutely right. I mean, look what's happening with the Biden administration. Almost everything he does is unpopular with the public, with the voters, with the people. Nobody voted for this, and yet you look back and you say, well, he got 80 million votes. You know why that is? Because that machine, as you point out, doesn't take a day off. They take nothing for granted. They have the worst candidate, they've probably ever had. I mean, with all these comparisons to Jimmy Carter,
he's horrible.
Jimmy Carter, for all his faults, in 1976 was not senile. He wasn't bumbling and stumbling around and lost every time he did a press conference. I mean, this is Jimmy Carter without all his faculties, is what we're looking at. Yeah. And 80 million people voted for it, because the machine doesn't take anything for granted. And when you see what he's doing now, or what he did on day one with, 75 executive orders, it wasn't popular. It wasn't what people wanted, but they don't care. They say, we just need to get in, and then we will foist this radical agenda on the world. And I mean, there's a lot of, every day there's indications of just how fringe this agenda. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, Jennifer Granholm, Energy Secretary, it was pretty, this was pretty indicative of the thinking. She was talking about the gas shortage, actually she said it wasn't a gas shortage. It was a supply crunch.
Oh, right.
They're going, what? What's the difference? She started saying how if you had an electric car, and she did it with like a smile on her face, if you have an electric car, you got nothing to worry about. And I'm thinking, holy crap, they don't mind this. Forget, they didn't cause this, I don't think, on purpose. but they're never going to let a crisis go to waste. They see what's happening here, people waiting in gas lines and people panicking, and they're saying, you know what? If you dumb rubes just bought an electric car instead of one of those gas guzzlers, you'd be okay. And she said it with a smile, and it was just so revealing. Behind closed doors, things like this supply crunch, they don't mind it. They don't mind. I'm not, Joe Biden doesn't even know. But, Kamala and Susan Rice and Barack Obama, when they see something like this, they say, well, our agenda is getting a little accelerated here. This is Green New Deal stuff.
Politically, how do you think this is going over with swing voters in Georgia?
Well, it's terrible, but again, they don't care. When time comes, the machine, when they will fire it up, they will get people who don't normally vote, don't normally care.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Hit the check mark on their mail-in ballot. They know how to get out the vote. They know how to exploit the system. And if they get that HR1 passed, it's all over forever. We all know that whole to nationalize elections, to outlaw voter ID. There's a million things they plan on doing, and if they do it, forget it. It's over. I mean, we might as well just surrender, join the resistance, and pity our children and grandchildren, because the country will never be the same. But we will see. Unfortunately, the machine steamrolled our guy, Turtle Boy, but it's good to have him back, and it's good to have him blogging, because he is on a roll in his full-time job. He is on a roll. We got to do an update on.
You look like shit compared to the last time you were on. Though you're dressed nice, you look good. You're all dressed, as opposed to now you're back to old Turtle Boy with these ridiculous headlines. You're right, like dumpster fire Susan or whatever, dumpster fire Dave.
What was your campaign promise? You should have promised a Turtle Boy hat to every voter.
I don't think that would go over as well as you think it would, Jerry.
Is that illegal?
I think that was the problem.
People love free shit, Turtle Boy. People love free shit.
It's too bad. If people knew you, they would love you. And
yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm a sweetheart. I swear.
We got another update. Let's not. We can't expect Turtle Boy. You and I can't expect Dave's full attention today. We can't expect him to be completely concentrating on this show, because I don't want to say his dream job. His dream job was Spittin' Chicklets. He applied for his dream job a couple months ago, when Spittin' Chicklets was looking for a producer /
that is not confirmed. I did not apply for that job. Go on.
Well, don't get defensive. I don't blame you. That was your dream job. I mean, that would be like the Red Sox calling me to play center field. I'm not going to turn them down. I mean, that would be like Turtle Boy getting a chance to I don't know. What would be your dream job, Turtle Boy? Working with Andy No on the streets?
Win an election?
I don't want a dream job. I want to be the job.
Look at you. Look at this. A little motivational Thursday.
I don't even know what that means.
It means you don't have an employer. If you have a job, that means you work for somebody, right?
Yeah, but what if you work for someone you like, someone good? What if you work for
I'll never be happy like that.
You'll never be happy, period. You were on one, you've been doing some great work, and you're still wrapping electric cords around your neck trying to end it all. I don't think
heavy.
Yeah, but you look much better. You sound much better. You feeling better?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Did your wife take all the laces, belts, everything out?
Yeah, we're good. Nothing's gonna happen. I promise.
I ask him, just for the audience though, I ask him these questions privately. I just want people to know privately I'm a good guy. Jerry likes to do it on the show, so he looks like a good guy publicly. I do it privately. So
yes, that's correct.
The classy.
I don't think it actually makes me look like a good guy to ask him if he's wrapped the cord around his neck lately. But I've been
2 calls from people that were they wanted the update. They wanted to hear Jerry's reaction to the UMass story, and then asked, "Did Turtle Boy really do that?" And that was what the conversation was.
It was an amazing piece. If you haven't read it, it was great journalism. I pointed out. You broke news. You told me a lot. I mean, it was just really good. And in the middle, he mentions that he recently wrapped the cord around his neck and tried to end it all. I don't know if it's me, but I've been around. I've been with, radio partners, colleagues, occasional friends who have done such things, drastic acts in the mid their low point. So it's nothing new. I've seen this before, and I was surprised, but I'm glad you pulled through. You look and sound much better. You're feeling better. You're feeling good.
Well, yeah. I mean, this was from I had my little episode a few months ago, and I took some time off. It was all related to that. So yeah, I mean, shit happens, and
I mean, doesn't the work speak for itself? You had a good week last week, even though Gerry will tell you you had a good week no matter what. But you had a good week last week, so
better than usual.
Yeah.
If you immerse yourself in your work, I think that's the easiest way to help your health. I think in general, if you're happy.
Why don't you immerse yourself in your family, your children? Why
I
don't
do. I immerse them too. I mean,
Doesn't that make you feel better?
I do. Every morning I get her off the bus and get her on, Jerry. It's the nicest moment of my day. It's lovely.
And you still sometimes, want to hurt yourself.
I mean, we're human. This is too heavy. What? People are human. Just because people are happy, they can't have like issues behind the scenes.
No, they absolutely can, but you got a lot to live for. You would agree with that, right?
I do, absolutely.
Which is why you guys looked at me like I was an asshole. I think the part of the story that you brought up, you bringing that into the story, though, when I read it was kind of shocking, was the fact of now we have this other girl who you just told us is getting bullied at school. Like somebody should be looking out for that girl on the same.
Totally.
And you guys just looked at me before the show.
I know. Here's what you're going to do, Turtle Boy. I know it. You're going to do a follow up because you understand, you feel for that child. The people like Monica Cannon Grant, Ayanna Presley, these horrible people don't care about that girl. They tried to use her. They did use her. And I think in their minds, they used her up. No one bought their lie about Michaela Miller getting murdered, getting lynched. They tried to see if it would fly. It didn't work.
Didn't catch.
They moved on. That girl was expendable, disposable to them. She's a child. They blamed her for the death of her friend. They tried their best to scare up a crowd, a mob to join them in blaming her and the other kids. Didn't work. They moved on. You, on the other hand, you will follow it up. You will keep us posted, and I think people appreciate that.
Next Friday, Monica's hosting a protest outside Marion Ryan's office. She's the new enemy, so they're demanding she resigns, and they're holding a protest. She says the Black Panthers are coming. I guess they're still a thing. So I don't know how many people are going to show up, but I will be there. For sure. Is it in Boston? It's I guess her office is in Lowell.
Oh, great. So they'll all be going to Lowell. Great. It's like with Sharpton or any other, professional race baiter. Nothing good ever comes from an appearance by Monica Cannon Grant. Nothing good. You bring the Black Panthers. Nothing good can come from that. And now we know. Here's how we know. To get her way, to get the crowd there, to get them on her side, she will lie. She will do anything. She will use a child. She will lie about the cops. She'll lie about anything. You have to understand that. And if you read Turtle Boy, you do, but expect more of that next week. Fortunately, she's moved on from these children in Hopkinton that she labeled murderers, and the kids being, bullied. Some of them are being bullied in school and at home. But Monica Cannon Grant doesn't give a damn. These kids, they're just collateral damage. And if you really want to know what's going on, you got to read and follow TB Daily News. But let's get an update on Callahan, because my old partner and sometimes friend is tweeted yesterday that he needs a new producer.
Is Steve really gone?
His producer, Steve Robinson, is quitting or quit already. Did he quit already? And is driving around the country in a van. He's going to go all Francis McDormand and go all nomad land, and and he and his wife are going to drive around and spend their life at various rest areas, taking a dump in a box and finding themselves. He's
made some good Bitcoin money. Hopefully, it's a pimped out RV. You know what I mean, with a TV and all that good stuff.
Whoa, a TV! Whoa, man! Well, Francis McDormand didn't have a TV. You're right.
Sure,
you're right.
Yeah.
To make ends meet, he'll do what she did. He'll clean the bathroom at the rest area, make a couple bucks. Good luck to him. I guess he just couldn't handle that life anymore. It happens to a lot of people. He had a good run. He'll be able to come back and do it again once he, gets this out of his system. But I don't know how long he's going to, roam the country. But good luck to him. It sounds like it'll be an adventure.
This is really happening.
He should keep a journal. So they're looking for a new. Barstool is looking for a new producer.
Substack.
That is Callahan's dream, to work for Barstool. To all these people that no one knows who they are, that he talks about. Says, Rico or K Marco. They'll all be his buddies. Rear Admiral will be his colleague.
I always said I would listen to the Steve Robinson podcast. I would listen to that, and I always said this. I'm like, Steve is a talented guy. He's really sharp politically. When you hear him talk, I'm like, I would listen to that. I don't know. Like, I like Kirk. I like his show. It's just, I don't know. Like, I think Steve would be better suited for politics. That's just my opinion.
Of course. I mean, I told him that from
Maybe
the
that's what
beginning,
he's
which was a
looking for.
big point of contention with me and him. But I think he would have worked well in that world, that right wing podcast world, that Ben Shapiro world, the Dan Bongino world. I mean, these people are they are really thriving out there now. I mean, look at Bongino, look at Shapiro. I mean, he turns on the mic and talks for 45 minutes in that weird voice.
Ugh.
No real production. He just talks about whatever, the violence in the Middle East, and it's okay. He gets, 1 million downloads a day. He's sometimes the top podcast in the world. And it's just this guy with this weird voice and this weird tempo who comes on and talks about the issue of the day. There's a real market for that. And I think Robinson would have thrived in that, but he went with Barstool and it worked out well. He had a good run, but I guess he wants to do something else. So now I see the update right now. Callahan is talking to those guys and kicking the tires. I know how much it pays. So.
I received a phone call. I couldn't answer the phone call. I don't know if you want to call it a flex. Maybe it's a flex. Maybe I ignored Kirk Minahan's call. I don't know. But I texted him back and said I apologize. I was with my kids and all that stuff. So I guess you could say communication has been.
Wow.
Yeah.
You texted him back. He never does that with me. Texted him back. You must be interested.
Changes.
The only reason, in your defense, is if you didn't go after that Spittin' Chicklets job, I don't think you're going after anything. That was a dream for you.
No, I told you.
You get to spend time almost every day with Ryan Whitney. That is Callahan's dream.
He is my number one. And by the way, thank you for the free Pink Whitney nips that you sent along to the office.
That would be like me hanging with Ann Coulter. That mean it would be like he'd be weak in the knees every day. Oh my God! Rear Admiral walks in the room. Callahan would get weak and his heart would go a flutter, and he would say, "Can I get you anything, Rear? You want a coffee, Rear? Do you need a pen? You want a pillow?" I mean,
big RA guy. Yeah, big RA.
That is your dream. Just admit it. I don't know if this is your dream or not, but I know you're interested. So,
sure.
At what stage is the negotiations with
oh my God, it's not even at a stage. It's just two friends catching up. He called me, I texted him back.
You said that you're competing with Jim Murray, Big Jim Murray from 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Yeah, I just saw that tweet. I don't know. Yeah,
Ooh,
I don't know.
Competition.
I like Jim Murray. I don't like Felger and Maz the show, but I like Jim Murray. So
Jim Murray's a turtle. He wears Turtle Boy shirts on that show sometimes.
I like him too. And my old friend called me yesterday and asked me my advice or my thoughts, and I said, Jim Murray he's good. He's good, and I think he's forced to do just this boring sports talk every day, talk about the Bruins and the NBA, and he doesn't. It's not what he wants to do. I think he's more well-rounded than that, and would love to get into other things. So I think, and he's got a good voice. So I think he'd be a good choice, a whole different choice. Callahan's a button pusher, a good button pusher, and he's a good foil, and you would get abused, as you know, on a daily basis.
Yeah,
you would just get abused. But I think you're just simple-minded enough not to let it get to you.
Nothing gets to me. You know me. I mean, all the fights that we get into. I mean, I get the best of you every time that happens.
It would roll. I don't see him chewing you up and spitting you out. I think you could handle it better than most. I don't think you would.
We'll become best buds. I'll be the Gerry Callahan.
Why don't you come produce the Turtle Boy podcast? Don't you think? I mean, there's a.
I don't work with losers. Come on, I don't. Be real. I work with winners. You know that.
Have you seen my subs? How are your subs?
Subs?
Yeah, I know. We're just growing
Subscribers.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
I told. By the way, a nice guy again. I told you anytime you need help, you can always reach out to me. I've told you that.
See, the thing with the Turtle Boy show is that, it's just me in my basement producing it. I'm getting a lot of views, getting a lot of subs. I don't know. I feel like if I invested in this, if I had an actual producer or a guy who could get the content out there, I feel like this would appeal to a lot of people.
So why don't you apply for this job?
I don't know how to be a producer. I'm just the content guy. I'm the content guy, Gerry.
You figure stuff out. I've seen you. You just figure stuff out. I've seen you with when we have technical issues, and you just get to the bottom quickly.
Yeah, that's coming from
that mind.
A dummy. You're a dummy.
you're undermining what Dave does for work, and you're kind of simplifying it.
Yeah.
So it's not that. It's not that easy.
He's good. He's a good button pusher. He's technically,
Yeah.
as I always say, for a moron, he's amazing technically. I don't know how that works.
Thanks.
Because
It's
of the
that
hair.
part of his brain that works, that technical part of his brain. And I'm not sure if that's the most important part of his job, but I know
Let's just see if the right intro gets in today's show, and then you can kiss my ass. All
That's
right?
true. That's true. That's right. I don't know if you noticed the other day, Trill, but we had the same intro 2 days in a row because Dave was he wasn't focused. He was worried about the hits or about. I think it was Monday. There was a big wrestling show that night, so he was distracted. But
I don't listen to the intro. I do 4 straight of the 30-second things, and then you start talking.
Oh, thanks, Turtle Boy.
I'll apologize. I should cut that out. Cut that out.
All right. Well, Callahan is here today. I'm not sure how much longer he will be here. But if to be honest, my old friend gave me a call and asked for my blessing, but just said he would, he wanted me to know that he would talk to Callahan. And I said, go for it. I know how much that pays. I know how much Callahan dreams of being part of the Barstool family. I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about. Within my positive.
Can't you just admit that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm literally wearing the merch, Jerry. I'm wearing the merch. So
I mean, you can't admit that you would love to be on that email chain and be part, and you could be involved in Barstool stuff. You could go to.
I love Barstool. I've always defended
Ready, or Rowdy and Rowdy and Rowdy.
Yes,
you could go to those shows and get blood on you. That's your dream.
Yes.
And they do wrestling. They do they do lots of hockey. You'd get to hang with the Spittin' Chicklets guys.
It sounds like a dream. It sounds like a dream. Yeah.
I mean,
are you pushing me? Are you endorsing this, or are you pushing me out, or what's the angle?
No, I'm just asking you to admit that you're,
Sure, I love I enjoy the culture. I enjoy being beaten up. I like chaos. It makes me laugh, and that's what it is.
You like the chaos. Well, you'll get plenty of that. But can you keep us updated? Me and Turtle Boy and our audience, because we'd like to know.
I'll keep you updated.
All right, couple things to get to. I don't know if you guys are clearing your schedule for October 3rd, but the big news yesterday was that Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski are coming to New England on October 3rd. And I don't know if this is real or if this is just, part of the, initial reaction, but they're saying you can get like 6,000, 8,000 a ticket. Season ticket holders are going to sell their tickets for a fortune just to be there that day. And I always have the same reaction when that happens is, don't they know it's on TV? I mean, it's on TV, right? Tom Brady at New England. Brady is right now a 3.5-point favorite over Bill Belichick. If he continues to put up the same yards that he put up last year, that's the day he will break the all-time passing yardage record in Week 4 at New England, which, it's Brady. It's Brady, so it'll happen. There'll be things happening that day, and it will be phenomenal. And most people will be rooting for the Patriots, correct? They will be rooting for the Patriots, but will, they will give Brady a massive ovation coming and going. They will appreciate him. There'll be no boos and there'll be no, nobody.
Is it going to be sold out? Sold out. Good question. You mean legally? I don't know. Charlie Baker's allowing 25% capacity. Now that with the New York Times article came out showing that there's no spread outdoors, why not have 100%?
So we did this reading. We read this yesterday, like I always do. First thing in the morning, I read my New York Times. I read the New York Times. It was amazing. A lot of shows did it. A lot of cable news shows, podcasts did this yesterday because it was so stunning. I feel like we should do it again, at least for a moment. The New York Times yesterday, if you haven't read it, you don't have to, just take my word for it, said the CDC has essentially been lying all along about outdoor transmission. And I said I was going to go out in public yesterday after the podcast and start yelling at people who are wearing masks outdoors. I haven't done that yet. Not yet. Maybe this weekend. I'll have a couple of beers.
I'd pay to see that.
I mean, you already do it, Turtle Boy. You're already, one of these,
I don't go up the street. Why are you wearing a mask? Take that goddamn thing off.
The problem is I want to do it to children with their parents. I want to yell at the parents. I want to yell at the parents. Yeah. Why are you doing this to your child? But all I'm going to say is, how does everyone not know this now? It was in the New York Times. I realize most people don't read it, but I talked about it, and so did everybody else. The New York Times admitted that the CDC picked a benchmark, 10%, so that nobody could reasonably dispute it. And they compared it, saying they write, saying that less than 10% of COVID transmission occurs outdoors is akin to saying sharks attack fewer than 20,000 swimmers a year.
Great analogy. Great
You
analogy.
hear that number, right? You say, wow, it's a lot of swimmers. I better be careful. Then you find out it's really only 150 people in the whole world.
Yeah.
It's really insignificant. It's essentially zero. Well, the same thing is true of outdoor transmissions, because you get down in the story a little further and you find out, as we talked about yesterday, there are literally 0 cases of COVID which were from outdoor transmission. 0 in the world. 0. There have been 160 million people stricken with COVID. 3.3 million have died. Nobody got it outside. The idea that you had to mask up to go outside was always a lie. It was always a matter of control. And yet everybody where we live, Turtle Boy, not down south and, not, Texas, but everywhere, but where we live, everybody is still wearing masks. And I don't want to yell at them. I just want to say, why? Why are you doing that? Don't you know that they've been lying? Don't you know that you're not going to get sick by, outdoor transmission? It doesn't happen. It literally
Why does it
does
bother
not
me?
happen.
I'm not a mask guy, but who cares if other people are doing it?
It just looks like you look weak. You look weak. You
Yeah,
look
but
docile. You look submissive when you wear a mask outdoors. But to me, it's not.
Are you going to start
not just,
criticizing their clothing next? Like, why are you wearing that stupid outfit? You look ridiculous.
no, you got to wear clothes. But yes,
Yeah, but people wear dumb outfits sometimes. You're going to start going up to them and be like, "That's a
No.
stupid outfit."
No, but what if I went up to him and said, "Why are you wearing that?
That'd
wanna
be
say,
weird
why?
too. Why are you wearing that shirt?
Why are you wearing that mask?" I want an answer, because they would say, "Oh, can never be too careful." Careful of what? Of what?
I don't
You
think
don't-
that's the answer they give you, Jerry.
Yeah, but
the
the mask is a symbol of a bit more, right? The
Right,
mask is a symbol of somebody getting the better of you in some situation. So it's not just about style, Turtle Boy.
Okay, so what if a guy was wearing a dress? That's more than just a
Okay,
style.
forget the dress
that's a
and the
message.
clothes. They did a study that said 95 out of 10,000 transmissions were outdoors. 95, not a lot. All 95 were from construction sites in Singapore. All 95 went indoors to have lunch or have their break and and spread COVID. They didn't get it outside. It was a lie. And to me, it brings, the credibility of the people telling us that this into question. As I pointed out yesterday, Susan Collins, of all people, was scolding Rochelle Walensky, the head of the CDC, saying, "I don't trust you anymore." Susan Collins. That's how bad it's gotten. This squish from Maine is literally berating the head of the CDC, saying, "We don't believe you anymore." And that's a good thing. We shouldn't believe them. I mean, forget what people are wearing. They were told to wear masks outdoors. They did it without questioning why. That should it scares me to think that my fellow citizens are that compliant. So they will do things, as I point out, and you would agree, around here, around Boston, around New England, if the governor or, the president or the head of the CDC said, "Take your underwear off and put it on your head, wear it on your head," it prevents COVID. They would do it.
Easily.
They would do it. You and I'd be the only two people walking around without underwear on.
They would demand you do it too. It would be more than just
Are
them.
you trying to kill me? Put your underwear on you. And
Exactly.
but there is a sense before this happened, 14 months ago, that the people at the CDC, like Fauci at the NIH, are really smart, right? And they really are looking out for our best interest, and they're really good at their jobs. 14 months later, I think we can all agree they're not.
They're
We can
not.
all agree
No.
Fauci is a fraud. Walensky's a liar. I mean, this is a woman, a total political creature, but I don't know if you heard her 2 days ago, but she was talking about, they were again grilling her, why outdoor masks, or why children. I don't know if you're sending your kids to summer camp, but the rules for summer camp. CDC last week came up with the rules for summer camp. The first 3 were masks on children outdoors. 2, you can't share things like toys or, games, because, COVID might end up on your little, on your, big wheel.
Right.
So, and the other one was social distance. All three have been debunked. Essentially, been debunked. We now know outdoor masks are unnecessary. We know COVID doesn't get transferred on from surfaces, and we know the 6 foot distance was totally arbitrary, just made it up and doesn't really protect you. If you're outside, you don't need protection. So they came up with 3 rules for kids at camp. All 3 make no sense. And parents are going to follow those rules. I guess you have to, but you're going to put a mask on your kid. It's 90 degrees. Your kid's, at camp playing whatever they playing, volleyball or, arts and crafts. And these poor children, these 6, 8, 10-year-olds are going to be masked up, just sucking for air, sweating, with this sweaty, gross, disgusting mask for no reason, just for the ascent, just for the image, the perception that they are really worried about us and taking care of us.
Or on the flip side, they're not going to go to summer camp because they don't want to experience that, or their parents don't want them to experience that. So they're going to be holed up in their basement, playing video games on Twitch or
which
whatever.
Is where you get the virus. Not that kids get it. They don't. But, again, think of the insanity of a year ago, Turtle Boy, and you and I talked about it every day. The insanity of shutting everything down outside, forcing people inside. Outside, you don't get it. Inside, you get it. Don't go outside and work out. Don't go outside, play basketball, tennis, go to the playground. Go inside and eat. That was the rule that the people in charge insisted on. But do we have the sound from Walensky saying her 16-year-old really wants to go to camp, but she's not going to send him to camp because it's too dangerous? This is the head of the CDC.
With regard to camp, I have a 16-year-old. Every year he comes home from camp and he writes the number of days until he returns to camp the next year. This year, it got to 0, and I told him he wasn't going. I want our kids back in camp. We now have 38,000 new infections on average per day. Last May 11th, it was 24,000, and we sent a lot of kids home and camps were closed. The camp guidance is intended to get our kids to camp and allow them to stay there.
Okay, she is such a friggin' liar. She is such a liar. The number of cases this year is different than last year. Last year, those cases included old people, included elderly people who were going to die from the virus. So it was alarming. It was scary. Forget the number. The people infected is what matters. This year, the people infected are different. The old folks have been vaccinated, or they've died, or they've had the virus and recovered. The cases are not kids, but 25, 30-year-olds who are barely affected. It's a whole different thing. And let me ask you this, Callahan. A 16-year-old boy comes home from summer camp and writes the number of days where he gets to go back. Is this kid, okay? I mean, a 16-year-old boy, he's supposed to be out, bird dogging chicks and out, playing hoops.
Well, summer camp is an opportunity with the ladies. Or
you write the number down. That's like something a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old does. A 16-year-old,
especially if you're going to a summer camp outside of your town and things like that, you get to meet new people. You're a different person. You get to be the cool kid at camp. Right. Ladies don't know, guys, whatever your preference is, they don't know who you are.
Well, it
could be a good thing.
Let me ask you this. She just said she told him he can't go. Is that what she said?
Yes.
He can't go. Follow-up question, Miss Walensky. I'm sorry, Dr. Walensky. My follow-up question. Why can't he go? Why can't your son
follow the rules that you're setting the precedent?
Right. And we know it's much safer than last year. I guess, last year they canceled it in most cases, but you're the doctor. You're the expert. Why can't your son, who's 16, go to camp? There's no danger of him getting the virus. All this is just for show. The masks and the distancing and everything else. What he lives for camp. He loves camp, and you're not letting him go. You're worse than Dave Callahan. You're a total, neurotic. If you won't let your child go to camp, you're supposed to be the doctor. You're supposed to be the grown up here. Just
and you're basically co-signing that other people do what you're suggesting your kid do, or you're not allowing your kid to do. You're saying don't let your kid go to camp by doing that. Right?
You're right. You're saying,
I'm giving you these rules to abide by, but I'm not even going to allow my family to abide by them.
And you're saying, camp's too dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, last year we didn't know, or some people didn't know the danger, didn't know exactly who was vulnerable, exactly how it affected children. This year we know. This year we know there's no reason kids shouldn't go to camp without masks, without distancing, sharing toys, whatever. Kids should go to camp if they want to go to camp, if the parents want to send them. You have this liar who's running the CDC, who's totally, steering people the wrong way and scaring them to keeping their kids home for no reason. It's just, and this happens every day. Every day we get more misinformation and more lies from people like Walensky, who I think it was about a month ago, who said, she felt good a few days ago, but now she has an impending sense of doom, and she got teared up. What happened to the doom? Rochelle, whatever. What happened to the doom? That was just made up, political, trying to help her side pass this, $10 trillion, pork barrel project. She wanted people to feel fearful. She wanted to spread the fear, keep it going. So she said, I have a feeling of impending doom. It's like, you're a doctor. You're a bureaucrat. You're not supposed to be telling us that you feel doomed. Just give us the numbers and the facts, you freak. But anyway, I feel bad for a kid. He wrote that number down. 347 days left to camp.
If that's your only shot, I mean, I'd be just as excited too. I mean,
and mom said, no, it's too dangerous. Jesus. You know what? Obviously, I'm not a fan of the current regime. I don't think too many people are. I think there's a lot of people, regretting. In fact, I have regrets. You know what my regret is? I was in the airport in D.C. I was in Ronald Reagan Airport on Sunday, and I went by the gift shop and they had a shirt. They had a bunch of, Kamala Harris shirts. They have a shirt that says, I'm talking, and it's got, Kamala with that face. I'm not sure who would buy that, but anyway, they had Biden shirts, Kamala shirts, and then they had this one shirt with Trump, and it said, miss me yet? And I didn't buy it, and I thought about it, but you know why I didn't buy it? Because I have a shirt from 2008 that has Bush on it that says, do you miss me yet? And I don't wear that because I don't miss him. I don't miss, pointless foreign wars. I don't miss our involvement in Iraq. Although now that we have another fan of pointless foreign wars in the White House, maybe we'll be back there. But I should have bought the Trump shirt just because it would annoy so many people. Maybe next time. I'll be back. I'll get it next time.
You do know the internet exists, right? You do know there are options.
I know. But you know what? Something like that you just buy on impulse, or you don't buy it at all. You don't plan that. You don't get on Amazon and plan that. You just see it and grab it and buy it.
And how can you miss him when he's got that social media network just blowing up? It's just
that's true.
It's taking over the world.
I don't think it is working out quite the way Donald J. Trump.
No, but I've been thinking about that a lot. I've only seen a couple people share it, and it basically shares it as if it's a blog post, which is stupid.
Oh, really?
I wonder if you could do it where you share it and it immediately generates like a picture quote of what he's tweeting. I wonder if Twitter would take that down. I'm
afraid to click on it because then Twitter will ban me for life, and Facebook will ban me, and I'm like, I can't. Don't want to click on his blog.
No, but they don't mind. They don't mind sharing of articles, right? It seems like articles aren't a problem, so that's why it's almost shared as a blog post.
So if you actually type the words yourself, they'll ban you. Like, I mean,
good question.
They're suspending some accounts that. I don't know. They don't share it. They write it, what he wrote. I don't know. But whatever. I mean, it's obviously out there, but he's not getting nearly the clicks he'd hoped for. This bothers the media because obviously they think Liz Cheney is the biggest story in the country. Anything to keep the whole thing about January 6th, the insurrection, anything to keep that going. The media is all in, and the Liz Cheney story kept it going. It was, she hates Trump. All she does is talk about Trump. She's the one fixated on Trump. Other people are moving on here and kind of focusing on Biden and the disaster that is the current administration. And Liz Cheney wants to focus on the last guy and focus on something that happened 4 months ago rather than things that are happening today. She's all alone in that. I mean, she and obviously the media and the Democrats, they're on the same side. They want to keep it going, and it's gotten kind of silly. The Globe, not that Not that anyone takes the Globe seriously, but and we'll get to our Globe story. But the Globe had a tweet, and I assume I had a story. I can't click on it, but they had a story saying that Liz Cheney's now setting her sights on the White House, running for president, which made me laugh out loud. Liz Cheney literally could not get 1%. She couldn't get 1% of the vote. She will lose her seat in Wyoming in a year and a half, and everyone was looking forward to that. But here's the Globe. They have an analysis. It says Republicans just tried to cancel Liz Cheney. They didn't cancel her. They just removed her from leadership because she's out of step with all the Republicans. I mean, that's all. She's still a congressperson, still getting paid. She didn't get canceled. And the Globe writes, they may have launched her presidential bid instead. God, they live in an alternate universe. Liz Cheney has about as much chance of getting elected president of the United States as, I don't know, Mitt Romney. In other words, zero. She couldn't win her home state, Little Wyoming. She couldn't win a single delegate. It's a joke, and the Globe doesn't care because, it's a narrative, and they're going to run with it, and they're going to, talk to their people and convince them that this is reality. Speaking of which, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I often wonder, like, my question now with many in DC is, who do you think's buying this? Like, who do you think's buying this when Walensky says 10%, which is a lie? When Walensky says, it's dangerous to send kids to camp, we know that's a lie. When the Globe says that Liz Cheney might run for president, we know that's nonsense, just complete, utter, laughable nonsense. But the administration also wants you to think that these scary, they don't have Trump to kick around. They won't even have Trump tweets to go after. I guess they focus on Tucker Carlson when they can, but again, he's a TV host. They've turned their attention to scary white supremacists, and they don't want to let it go. They want you to believe January 6th was white supremacist, white nationalist insurrection. It was neither. It was neither about race, nor was it an insurrection. I mean, they want you to believe it was armed, and there were no arms. They want you to believe these people killed people, and they killed nobody except themselves in a couple of cases. But anyway, the freaking administration, Biden and company, are going to hang on to this white supremacy thing forever, I guess, thinking eventually some white supremacist will come out of his hole and commit a crime, and they could say, see, they're just waiting to attack. What and Merrick Garland said this yesterday, I believe, said the biggest threat we face is white supremacy. And he didn't, I don't think, took questions, and obviously the media wouldn't, they agree with him, but how long does that fiction, that myth, how long does it work before people are going to ask, what are you talking about? I mean, I can't even think of a white supremacist movement that really had a big impact since, I don't know, was Timothy McVeigh considered a white supremacist? I know he was anti-government white guy who, committed one of the worst terrorist acts in our history of our country. That was a long time ago. They said today, right now, we got, gas shortages, we got inflation, we still have a pandemic, we have war in the Middle East, we have lots of stuff going on, lots of scary stuff. I don't think anybody is staying up late saying those damn white supremacists. What are they talking about?
Even after this, and as much as they try to push it on you, basically just to get the Twitter reaction from it, right? Or so CNN or whoever can talk about. I don't think in the general public, I've ever once heard somebody utter white supremacy.
And I mean, I'm honestly not lying when I say I don't even know what they're talking about. What does that mean? Like the Klan? Well, there's no Klan to speak of. Does that mean Richard Spencer? I mean, can you name one? Could Merrick Garland, if he took questions, someone said, "Who are you talking about?"
Well, he would just show a picture of the Capitol that day. They would just put that.
That had nothing to do with race. I mean, they made it up, I realize, but when did anyone say or do anything that showed a racial motive? Where did that? I mean, I guess we'll let them run with this fiction, and it doesn't really matter. But the attorney general said the biggest threat facing a country which has lots of issues, an open border, criminals coming over the southern border, the cartels controlling the border. There's lots of issues. White supremacy is not in the top 10. I mean, it's a bigger issue than than climate change. I'll give you that, but it's not. I would love to know what they're talking about. Like, is there a group that's threatening to blow up buildings? Is there a group that's threatening to kill people? Who is this boogeyman that they're referring to when they say white supremacy, the biggest threat to our country?
Unfortunately, the horror of domestic violent extremism is still with us. Indeed, the FBI assessed that 2019 was the deadliest year for violent domestic extremism since 1995. In March of this year, the intelligence community, in a report drafted by DHS, the FBI, and the National Counterterrorism Center, under the auspices of the Director of National Intelligence, assessed that domestic violent extremists pose an elevated threat in 2021. And in the FBI's view, the top domestic violent extremist threat we face comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
Okay, that's just made up. That is just made up for political reasons. We're not seeing it. I follow the news pretty closely. Have you seen a lot of white supremacists, beating up elderly Asian people on the sidewalks? I mean, what the hell is he talking about? A lot of white supremacists shooting people in Times Square? I don't think so. It's just amazing. They said, this is the agenda or the narrative we want to push. Let's go for it. Let's pretend that there's this army of white supremacists lurking in the hills and they're coming for us. They're coming for your kids. And people are watching saying, what the hell are you talking about? There are people coming over the border. I'm sure they're gangbangers and drug runners coming over the border. They don't look like white supremacists. Asian people are getting beaten up in the streets. The people doing the beating, they don't look like white supremacists. What the hell are you talking about? There are people, cyber hackers who shut down our pipelines. I don't believe they're white supremacists. There's lots of threats. This clown who is now Attorney General, who was almost the Supreme Court Justice, thank you, Mitch McConnell. This clown is literally reading from a political agenda, reading political talking points, saying it's those white supremacists. And you're left wondering, who are they? Where are they? What are you talking about? God, it's just maddening. Hopefully nobody's buying it. Nobody really believes that beyond, Joy Reid. No sane person thinks that a group of Nazis or Klansmen or whatever are out there ready to attack. It's just made up. They don't have Trump. They need a boogeyman. They've decided it's whatever, Klansmen, whoever they are. But I'd love to follow up and say, can you name three? Merrick, excuse me, sir, can you name three? I mean, they're the worst threat we're facing in the country of 330 million. You might be able to give us three names of white supremacists that you're worried about. Anyway, we shall move on. A couple of things. Biden is building the wall. It's good to see. I mean, walls don't work. Walls are racist, but Joe Biden's doing it anyway. Must be, to keep those white supremacists out. There's a story in Ohio. It hasn't been a big deal yet. It's going to be, because I have a feeling it's going to catch on. They have a rhino governor, much like Massachusetts, Mike DeWine, who's encouraging vaccinations. And, all governors and mayors and all the political class is crazy about vaccinations. They're not going to rest until every, child, every dog and cat gets vaccinated. There are people who just really don't feel comfortable getting the vaccination, and you shouldn't care if you get it. Why do you care? I don't know. But governors have decided it's it's the most important thing to make sure everybody gets vaccinated. So they came up with a plan in Ohio, and it's total madness, in my opinion. They are having a lottery. If you get vaccinated, you get in the lottery. I believe the prize is $1 million, $1 million. And if you're 17 and under, people who really shouldn't get vaccinated, but some reason the government is insisting children get vaccinated, you go in a lottery and the winner gets a scholarship to Ohio State or some Ohio State University. That is going to catch on. I have a feeling that is insane. You're a child. You're 16,
Well,
17.
this is extreme, but aren't other states are offering incentives, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
free
like
drinks and shit like
like
that.
a beer. You get one beer if you get it, or a gift certificate to whatever, I don't know, some hardware store for, $50. That's one thing. But a full scholarship, and I realize it's not everybody, it's a lottery. So you get people who are reluctant to get vaccinated for whatever reason. They already had the virus, they don't need it, they get the antibodies, or they're 10 years old and they're reluctant and they say, oh, I wasn't going to do it, but they got a lottery. I get to win $1 million. That is, it's insane, but I have a feeling it's going to catch on. I have a feeling other states are going to say, they're racing.
And the taxpayers are covering that $1 million?
Sure. They covering everything. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's a way to, get people. That's true. Usually a lottery.
I wish you bought a ticket to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were reluctant, what if you just got vaccinated? Is it too late to get in the lottery? Because you might want to hold out for a better offer. Maybe the next lottery will be 2 million. Maybe next time it'll be, you get to go to a private college if you are under 17, you get vaccinated. But it's a very strange dynamic in society right now where people are crazy over other people not getting vaccinated like right away. I don't really understand it. I've talked about it many times, but what do you care? It just seems odd that not only do you want everyone to get vaccinated, you will do anything you can. There are people on MSNBC every night saying they should arrest people who don't get vaccinated. Arrest them, force them, hold them down and jab them. And I don't really understand, especially if you're not vulnerable, if you're 20, if you're 15, if you're 10, why you would get vaccinated. But we'll see what other states come up with. They'll have, try to top each other. We'll have 5 million, 10 million. We'll give you a house, a car. It's going to get crazy because they are competing. You see, Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, who has been an absolute disaster for the state for over a year now. He's destroyed tens of thousands of businesses, put over 1 million people out of work. He's been an absolute disaster. He brags every day. And of course, the Globe touts his performance in getting people vaccinated. Look at us. We're third in the nation and adults percentage of vaccinated. And you're going, yeah, but you ruined, 10,000 small businesses. You ruined, whole neighborhoods are wiped out because all the restaurants are gone and all the small businesses are wiped out and people are bankrupt. Yeah, but we got 2 million people vaccinated. Well, so what? There are other things that matter here. And for some reason, the last 14 months, people like Baker, hacks like these politicians like DeWine and people like Walensky and Fauci, they think all that matters is, how many people are vaccinated or how many people have had the disease and gotten through it. They never even consider the carnage that it's caused among kids, and they never talk about businesses that have gone on, that the kids who've committed suicide have turned to drugs or domestic violence. All these absolutely frightening, ancillary factors are irrelevant to them. It's like, who cares? We're getting people vaccinated. Yeah, but the suicide rate is like tripled and violent crime is yeah, but people are getting vaccinated. It's like all that matters to these hacks. And the governors are the worst. These DeWine, these Bakers, these liberal hacks are the worst. They don't care at all the effect it has on children or the effect it has on business. It's just not relevant to them. But anyway, all right, a couple things before we go here, Colin. And congratulations to my girl, Ellen DeGeneres.
All right. Yes, your friend.
19 years of doing her show. I can honestly say I've never seen it. I've seen clips. I saw, Tom Cruise jump on the couch and everything.
That was not Ellen. Tom Cruise jumping on that couch was not Ellen.
That was not Ellen?
No, that was Oprah.
I was like, Ellen, Oprah. I haven't seen either of them. So
Yeah, your story checks out. You've never seen Ellen.
what's the most famous Ellen episode? Is anything really crazy happen on her show?
Not really. She's like consistent. She's always been consistent, by the way, which is why it's such a lie that she's kind of going out on her own in her 19th season. Her ratings are down because she's been proven to be an asshole because she gets every celebrity in the book.
True, and they
more so than the
continue.
late night guys.
And you know what they do? They lie for her. They pretend she's a nice person. Everyone knew, and I feel like we were ahead of the curve. This was years ago.
Listen to this. Can I play this audio from? This is DNC. This is I think it's 2014. Does that sound right? October 2014.
Yeah, 7 years, 6.5, 7 years ago. Yeah,
you know a little bit more of the background, but I think this is coming off. Is it the mother or a friend of a story that was supposed to visit? Was going to visit.
Yes,
she called into the show.
I can do the quick background. Sam Thomas, a great kid, Jimmy Fund patient from New Hampshire. He was stuck, obviously, in the clinic and in the infusion room for too long, many days, many hours. And what he did was watch TV and watch Ellen. He got hooked, became a huge fan. And when someone asked him, for a wish, make a wish, he said he would love to go meet Ellen. And I think that people in his town raised the money, got him and his father on a flight to LA, hooked them up, hotel and everything, got him to the show, got him tickets, went to the show, had a good time, just wanted to meet Ellen. I mean, literally for 30 seconds. She walked within 10 feet, would not stop and shake his hand. She has an assistant who's just the worst, this rotten guy who does her, protects her. He's like her guard or her bouncer. And he just said she can't meet with every kid with cancer. I mean, she literally walked by the kid. This is when we started talking about it. And the kid didn't complain. Sam was a good kid. His father said, we had a good time. She was busy.
No, if that was her mother, I was listening to the clip this morning. She was turning it into a positive. At the end of the day, he didn't get to meet her, but he had a great time. He came back energized. It kind of did what they wanted it to accomplish.
So we started talking about it, and immediately people started calling and sending and emailing, saying, yeah, I met her. She's the worst. There's a rule on her show that you can't make eye contact, that she's famous for just throwing tantrums. And eventually this all came out. These stories came out with her throwing tantrums and firing people that looked at her funny. Or I think it was a guy who took a day off for something, for he had a baby or something. She fired him. She's just a monster. She's the biggest phony. Everything you see on TV is not real. Off the air, she's an evil person, a hateful person. We talked about it. People are like, really? Wow.
Listen to your anger. Listen to your anger from 2000. I wish this was podcasting. You would have gone off, but listen to this.
Oh, it does.
And that was against doctor's advice too. He flew out to LA and took a drive up to Burbank and sat in on the show. And this phony,
careful
lady, this phony, fraudulent piece of woman said, nah, don't have time. I'm busy. I'm Ellen. I'm too important. I'm too famous for you, Sam Thomas.
If she, what I'd love
Get out of it.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to hear. Can you just play a little more? I want to hear Dino from the grave. Let's listen to Dino. I have not heard
that day. What I'd love to know? If we put all the details of this Sam Thomas story in front of Ellen right now and made her aware of who this kid is, not one of these other, little leeches that are trying to get your time.
It's going to cut off. Sorry. Yeah, I just clipped that part. So, but
And we talked, and again, people were like, really? That's unusual. And it just started the ball rolling, and I'm taking credit.
You had it 6 years in advance. That story broke on BuzzFeed in 2020. This is 2014.
Right, 2020, and they had the same stories we did about her being, you couldn't make eye contact and throwing things and throwing.
Wasn't there a story about a dude who ran like 40 miles a day just to get to the studio to see her or something? Or there was like some kind of big charity event and she wouldn't see him at the end of it. I mean,
every story was the same. She is a horrible human being, just a terrible, terrible human being. Doesn't care about kids with cancer, doesn't care about children, the marginalized people. Everything you see is not real. She's the biggest phony. And I think, she said she's, burnt out or she's quitting. She's quitting because the truth caught up to her, because people realize that when they see this laughing, giggling, dancing person on stage, that's not real. That's an act. And people know off stage, off camera, she's a monster. And I think she could no longer pull it off. Put it that way.
Actually, one of her former producers. Let me play this for you. It was on Australia. It was in Australia, but this was overnight.
I think the viewers are disappointed in the phoniness that she's been projecting as this nice person. So I feel that the viewers feel duped in a way, that she's not this nice person. And they're not going to put up, the viewers are not going to put up with the backstage racism that goes on and the backstage bullying that goes on. So I think that
That's probably so. She's probably the producer that leaked a lot of the stuff to BuzzFeed, but she worked for her for years. And look at how she talks about her. And
that's what everyone does. She's just a horrible person, and no one's buying her act anymore except for Howard Stern. Howie Hamptons loves the way she dances. I think that was the low point for Howie Hamptons, and I don't think either of them will ever recover. But good luck to Ellen. We'll see what she does now in retirement. You think she has enough money to make it through with
I think she is the next one to sign that glorious Spotify and Netflix exclusive. Unfortunately, you're going to see the next headline.
Oh Christ! All right. Before we wrap this up and let you go to your interview with Barstool, you're going to dress like that? Don't you have to put something nice on? Is it a Zoom interview or are you in person?
Well, don't you need to dress the part? Like, I'm wearing Barstool merch.
That's true. Well, that's right. That's why. Yeah, that's the key. Wear the Barstool merch.
Yeah, and I'll show the tattoo I have, obviously. So,
we talked about this briefly yesterday, but I feel like I have to say more because what happened a little over a week ago, we spoke to Curt Schilling. We did an interview with Schilling. It was long. I think it was pretty good. He said some things that I've never heard him say before. I understand lots of people hate Schilling and they always say, oh, well, what about Rhode Island? Or what about, something he said politically? What about what he said about, Muslim extremists and Nazis? And I mean, there's always if you don't like Schilling, there's always something. These people fall back on the greatest hits. But you know what? I think he's honest and I think he's interesting. He's a little crazy. I agree with that, but he's a good interview. In this interview, for the first time, he said he sat across the table from John Henry and Tom Werner, the owners of the Red Sox in 2008 when they were negotiating a new deal. And they said to him that if he didn't agree or if he didn't cooperate, they were going to out him as a junkie, as a addict. He was addicted to painkillers at this point. I didn't even know about that, but he told us last week that for I don't know how long the period would be, 2004 to 2000 and I don't know what. He was indeed addicted to painkillers. He was, when he pitched, he was on Toradol, and off the mound it was Percocets or whatever, and they were going to reveal that to the public to hurt his image if he didn't play ball. I'd never heard that before. I thought it was pretty interesting and pretty revealing. Now, people who hate Schilling and like the Red Sox say, yeah, but he didn't pitch, he got hurt, and yeah, but whatever, he likes Trump or whatever. They find other things to focus on. But in this case, I would say that is news. That's news that the player, a legendary Red Sox player, said the owner threatened to out him as a addict.
They basically threatened to tell everybody that I was addicted to painkillers. I had lied and got a contract from them if I didn't take a renegotiated contract, which is why they asked for, when we settled, they asked for a 5-year NDA.
Now, he went on, and I'd never heard that before. And I thought that was pretty newsworthy. And it was. And the Globe, and I know this for a fact, was ready to write a story, or I believe it was already written, a story on last Sunday, about this. And I wouldn't be flattering because, the Globe hates Schilling because Schilling, likes Trump. So that's how it works at the Globe. But they were going to quote him and point out that he was an addict, and the owners were going to expose that. The story never ran. The story was spiked. The story, and I guess we should have seen that coming, the story was not flattering to John Henry. John Henry owns the Red Sox. John Henry also owns the Boston Globe, and John Henry essentially owns WEEI. John Henry controls everything. And people who like Henry and hate Schilling and don't care say, so what? That's just one instance. And you have to ask yourself, how often does John Henry and his people control the news. That's just one of many reasons that the Globe is a joke. You shouldn't have any respect for it. You shouldn't view it as a newspaper. They don't do news. They do an agenda. They do propaganda. They will not run a news story if it makes the owner of the Red Sox look bad. Ask yourself this. What if it makes, I don't know, the manager, the players? What if it makes the team, the organization look bad? How many times have they spiked stories, killed stories that were going to make the Red Sox look bad? I can tell you it happens on WEEI every day, where if you're going to do something, say something that makes John Henry or the team look bad, there's someone who'll step right in and say, ixnay that story. We can't do that. John Henry's our guy. I mean, the owner of EEI idolizes John Henry, idolizes him. I mean, it doesn't matter that Henry's newspaper tried to destroy the station. He doesn't care. He's that deferential to John Henry. So you will get nothing like that. I'm sure they never mentioned the Schilling story, which again is a news story. It is news and it is sports. It is about the owner of the Red Sox and about a player, a very well-known Red Sox World Series hero and their relationship. And you don't get a word of it because it makes Henry look bad. That's what happened. That's why you never read about it. It was done. I believe the story was done and ready to go. But somebody said, no, we can't have any of that.
So how did, I'm just wondering in my brain, if that story was actually done, which we think it was, does he go and he has to reach out to the Red Sox for comment? So just like we did, do we assume that they said no comment? He went back and wrote that in his story and then buried them for probably not commenting. And then the Boston Globe editors to protect John Henry? Or do we think John Henry knew, why would
Henry doesn't know. They just know that their job at that paper, I mean, it's not to cover the news. That job is to advance an agenda.
Yep.
Is to, carry the water for certain people. Henry being number one on that list.
As much as we want to shit on John Henry, and we're more than willing to do so, this is a Boston Globe burying that story versus, the Red Sox trying to set any.
I mean, it's not a big enough story. If this story was about Henry personally, whatever, committing crimes or financial, they would go to Henry or would go to Pizzuti. Pizzuti allegedly runs the newspaper. His trophy wife runs the paper allegedly. Now, they just know they can't run stories that make him look bad. That's the deal. It's like the Washington Post is not going to run stories that make Jeff Bezos look bad. It's a problem when you have these vanity projects, not real newspapers, not real businesses, just ways for these billionaires, to increase their power and advance their agenda. That's what it is. It's not really a paper. It's not really a news outlet. And this is just more evidence. You can't have a story in that paper that is even a little critical of John Henry or, Red Sox ownership, which obviously Schilling was. I mean, at the same time, you could say, Schilling sucks, Schilling's, a blowhard, Schilling, whatever happened, Schilling likes Trump and Schilling, there's a million things you can say about Schilling, reasons people don't like him, but
Schilling to me is
news.
Yeah, Schilling to me is the only person who has real impact on Schilling's reputation on all that other shit is actually Shaughnessy. I don't believe that the majority of people who are baseball fans give a flying bleep about whatever T-shirt he was wearing. I don't think anybody's had the conversation about it really. I think Schilling poems because he's one of the last guys that people read for sports in this town in the actual written work.
And Schilling and Shaughnessy will retire soon and he'll never be replaced. They will have nobody like that. Everyone who will work there and they're close is going to be under the control of Henry's people. There will be no one stepping out of line. Every single thing you read will be there for a reason. It is it is John Henry's little pet project, and it's not there to break news. It's not there to make money. It's there to keep Henry, to obviously advance Henry's agenda and to keep him happy. And Shaughnessy will be gone, and Henry will be glad. They'll never replace him with somebody who will ever criticize him or the team. By the way, the team will never face any criticism. That should scare everybody. I know it doesn't because they don't care, but that should scare everyone. This once respected newspaper is now just a little toy for a billionaire who has an agenda. That's what it is. That's why you never read about the Schilling story. It ended up on the cutting room floor, and it'll happen again. I mean, hell, it's happened before. It'll happen again. That's what you're doing. If you're spending your money on that paper, that's what you're getting. You're not getting any news. You're not getting any journalism. But we've gone over that before. I just thought I would update everybody on what happened to the Schilling story in the Boston Globe. Not that it matters, not that anyone reads it, but that's what you're dealing with. But anyway, we will leave it there. Thanks.
By the way, we like that Schilling. That was a good interview. I got a lot of reaction on Twitter and comments about it on YouTube about just it sounded like a more relaxed. He's obviously in Tennessee now. He's near Nashville. He just seemed calmer. He didn't seem as angry. You know what I mean? Like he just seemed.
I know, and he's happy. He got out of New England. He's in Tennessee with his animals, and again, you don't have to like him.
Yeah.
But you have to admit two things. He was a hell of a pitcher in the clutch. He was, and you don't have 2 World Series without him, or you don't have one, the first one. And he'd be in the Hall of Fame if he was not political, if he were not outspoken, he'd have cruised in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. He'll never get there, I don't think. At least, well, maybe he won't next year. And he's interesting. He says things. He has opinions. He's. You can hate him if you want, but he's not dull, which is the case, especially these days with so many athletes where they just don't want to say anything. They're afraid to say anything because they don't want to get attacked by the mob. Schilling is fearless in that regard, which is why he's always a good interview. And he was so good this time, the Globe made sure you didn't hear it, read it. You didn't find anything else about it, but maybe next time. Anyway, anything else, Cullinane?
No,
we got to roll here.
Yeah, we got to go.
We got to roll. You got to get to your interview. We got to get this up. I appreciate Turtle Boy joining us. Check him out on TB Daily News. He's done some amazing work lately. Not necessarily, in the political realm. That didn't work out so well, but he is blogging his ass off.
Just so people know in the audience, for his next future political campaign, he's a family first guy. You see him disappear, he's going to take care of the kids on this show when he disappears. Just so you know, we don't call it out because he just goes. So
yep, which is long enough. We have him on for a half hour. That's long enough. Let's be honest. Yeah. Now, anyway, thanks Turtle Boy, and thanks to Jay Concrete and Allied Paving at DCU and all our advertisers. Thanks to everybody for watching on YouTube and for listening. We appreciate it. This is the Callahan Podcast. I'm Gerry Callahan, and we'll talk to you again.